Some teams prefer second
It is
pick.
the SD
Yeah,
first pick.
it's a bit of a change up. So yeah, they go for the SD again.
Okay. And of course, the beauty of SD,
This has to be
this was the second most picked hero in the group stage. And I mean, if you could
apart
just
from
quickly,
Ogre, right?
I think it was Luna and Shadow Demon were joint first. I could be mistaken. Ogre perhaps
For most
actually no,
picked?
Ogre was ahead of it. You are correct.
And then Rubik, right? Wasn't Rubik up there?
it was top three was Rubik, Luna,
They've
Shadow
taken
Demon.
the
Oh, okay,
Slaughter.
those three
So,
was-
yeah, Wings take the Slaughter.
A big
and
change.
Weaver. They're going to run a VP lineup, maybe.
Just copy and paste.
Yeah.
This is like what I mentioned, the playstyle, the way you approach the game. Right now, these two heroes tells me one thing: they're gonna run at you, they're gonna kill you. That's the type of pressure they're gonna
Just crush.
apply.
Run at you, kill you, and if kind of like maybe setting up like for them to pick an Alchemist too, because both these have minus armor, and Alchemist is a very low armor set hero, so they're just like you can kind of deter them away from picking it a bit if you pick this much right at the start.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's like a weakness of this kind of heroes. They are all mostly single target, and they don't clear out illusions. So if they don't kill your heroes in the laning phase, in the first 15, 20 minutes, you're gonna have a hard time dealing with the illusions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this duo, Shadow Demon and Luna, had an absurd win rate, 70% actually in the group
It's
stage.
super duper strong.
Yeah.
It's just really, really good. And we've seen teams have become so good at it now that it is very hard to beat.
Well, usually tools to deal with the illusions would be like a Keeper of the Light. Okay, great. No Keeper of the Light for you.
Oh, that was perfect
Instantly
timing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Tinker would be another option to
Tinker,
deal with
sure.
the illusions. The Aghanims, you have the bouncing lasers and the rocket.
Are they banning around Universe at the moment? I mean, obviously the Drow ban, but Axe and Void they're getting rid of. Do you think they're doing that to kind of take his heroes
Team
out?
fight, because when you're doing a lot of single target heroes, you don't want to give the enemy too much of a team fight advantage. Then you're all single target and they have all AoE, so it'll be hard for you to take the fights. And it's also a good hero to, you know, deal with the Weaver.
Deal with Weaver.
If Weaver is a carry role, then he might have a lot of problems with that.
Wasn't there an initial discussion about Weaver without Drow? Isn't there like a combination that people like?
It is ridiculously good. Like
Right.
I mean, that's what when VP run it, they tend to have the Drow with and then they have Lil on them running around.
They call it a support Weaver, but
it's a 3.5.
It's the core
rather than a
support.
4. It's like a 3.5.
Core support, I like that combo.
Yeah, I like that word. Words. They're two words.
Plural.
I mean, Alliance used to do that, right? EGM would be more of a core support, and then
Yeah.
they'd have like Aki as a 6 almost. But it's
Oh,
great. If you have a player willing to do that, then take advantage of it. Like, I don't mind. I'll buy wards.
I'm so glad that we are getting some camera shots of this theatre. It is beautiful.
It is stunning.
Yeah.
What I don't think you can see, sadly, is the up. If you look up from those
Wait.
front seats, it is stunning.
It's
such
a
a ceiling.
high ceiling as well. I advise all of you in the crowd now to just look up and appreciate that ceiling.
They banned out the Chen. That's rather strange. They're worried about a push threat from EG because they don't have wave clear with their heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, did EG run any Chen recently, Yanis? I don't think
picking his
remember.
I don't believe so. I don't think so. It could be like it could be like the group up factor
scrim,
with it.
Maybe a scrim thing. They
Maybe
know
a
that-
scrim.
Yeah.
It's also a hero that builds natural like mech armor, like auras and stuff too, to prevent the Slaughter.
Luna
Weaver.
Chen and Dragon Knight strat. I don't know. I don't think I've seen them run it. Like I know VP runs
VP.
Yeah, VP do that a lot.
I was about to say, Magi's actually made it through, and then there it goes.
Ban.
Still.
that. Are you a fan of that hero secretly?
I like Blue Fat.
Blue Fat, yeah.
That's the Chinese nickname for anyone that's wondering why I'm just talking about fat blue people. It is the Yoga Magi.
So they do need something to deal with the illusions, like you mentioned.
There's not many good heroes that can deal with that. Disruptor is like, well, okay, you use one glimpse. This is kind of like a VP lineup. They run at you, and then if you don't win the fight, you can't even run away because of Disruptor.
Yeah.
This is very VP.
He's a very front foot kind of hero. You want to be chasing. You don't want to be running away.
Like if EG's going for like a push or something and they don't get the tower right away, and then Disruptor comes in, he'll pretty much always catch it. They also have the multiple different forms of like vision for the Disruptor so far with the Weaver bugs, with the amplified damage, so easier setups for the glimpse.
Yeah, this pick for EG is very, very crucial. It's going to set the tone, you know, what kind of strategy that you're going into, because right now it's very clear that Wings is going to run at you. They're going to try and kill you and don't let you run away with the glimpse. It's going to be very aggressive, a lot of pressure.
So what are they looking for?
Do they go for like an early hero, like some sort of like undying kind of early hero, or do they go for like more team fight to deal with it? If you go for the team fight, you might go for a weaker laning phase, but try to compensate that you're banking on your team fight. When the team fight comes, you're going to be able to get something out of it.
So are they looking for a way out now, Winter? Are they looking for something to disengage or not so much?
Not kind of like a way out, but a way to approach the game, like how they're going to deal with the aggression. There's a few ways to go about it. It's very open-ended what EG can go for right now. Or you go for more greed, with the Alchemist Luna.
Is it going to happen again?
I don't know, man.
They might be debating it. You never know. It would be brave.
But like Yanis mentioned, like Slada, Weaver, minus armor, that's pretty good against the Alchemist core.
Okay.
Clock?
Yeah, least greedy. Don't need too many items. Just good at making space, in general for the team. But not that great against Disruptor because of the glimpse.
Very disruptive though in the laning phase at least. Just to deal, Disruptor needs levels if you're just
like
running at him.
a solid pick of, a solid pick here for EG. Going for offlaner that doesn't require too much resource, so it keeps your options open. You can still go for a greedy mid because your offlaner doesn't require much resource on the offlane. He's not going to take anything. He's just going to need levels and he's good to go. So EG might still go for a very greedy pick here because of the clock. That pick actually allows them to do that.
I love that Winter's got a smile on his face just because it's still coming. It's still on its way.
It's like you need to think about it. If you're Wings, you see the clock working, and you're like, okay, they might still go for greedy. Can we actually deal with the greed? Can we punish them? It's always at the back of your mind when you see that pick.
Fogs, to pick your brain for a moment then, with Wings waiting for still 2 to be locked in. Is there anything that sort of spring to mind? What's still on their shopping list?
They've got, minus armor, they've got good, pretty decent team fight now. Disruptor maybe emphasizing a little more on it, but
who they are gonna use as a core to hit them with the M damage? They have M damage.
Okay, well, I think this reveals a decent amount. This is more minus armor on top of everything too. Now they have an additional save too.
And they have heal to push at least. They have a lot of sustain with the weave plus the shadow, the heal. So good lanes as well, like Dazzle plus Disruptor. If your Clockwork is all alone in the lane, he's gonna have a tough time.
I think they still need something else that can kind of scale into later stages. They can't bank on a single core Weaver.
They're gonna need someone to hit with the M damage apart from the Weaver.
Would TA be a decent shout here?
Yeah,
that's an insane amount of minus armor.
Shadowfiend TA pretty good with their lineup. Shadowfiend will give them more team fight, so if they're expecting EG to come up with more team fight, then they can go for a mid that provides more team fight / physical damage. The Mirana pick is just like pretty much they're not going to go so greedy. They're just going to go for like a very, very good early game, very good team fight. They have a lot of AoE, the Luna plus Mirana. It's going to have to force the enemy carry to get a BKB. But then when you get a BKB against EG's lineup, there's Clockwork Hookshot, there's the Purge from SD. So it's pretty difficult to itemize as a carry if you're up against those EG heroes. And they ban out the Enigma. Wow, that's actually super strange. They ban out 2 junglers. So Wings are really, really afraid of a jungling hero to disrupt. So it might actually hint that they might want to do very, very aggressive things in the lane because they ban out the junglers that can actually help the other lanes.
It's been very diverse so far. If you compare the first draft to the second, there is only one similar hero. That's just, of course, the Shadow Demon.
And the Clock.
But
and the Slaughter.
But on the side.
On the side, yeah.
Different
you,
teams.
Yeah. Sorry, I should specify. Yeah, EG have picked Shadow Demon again. That's the only repeat.
I see.
Gotcha.
I see.
Just to clarify. Well, we expected this from Wings, and it looks like EG are kind of following suit.
They can still do like Mirana support right now, SD Mirana, and then go for like go for a greedy mid right now.
Still leaves it open-ended for sure.
Yeah, it's very open-ended. Really depends on what they feel they can get away with. And like I said again, they're on dire side, so it always keeps the option open that you want to go for a greedier late game draft.
I just get a feeling that Wings' 5th pick is going to be something we hadn't anticipated. I just get that feeling.
Well, it happened once. Will it happen again?
It's a mid hero though. Like
could they take Huskar even?
That is actually a very, very good question. Huskar, Dazzle, and Slada Weaver. It's a pretty good.
Pretty scary.
Pretty good combination, of course. That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Don't sound too surprised, Winter. I'm joking. Huskar.
Huskar.
Trying to think
have you seen a Huskar in the group stage?
We haven't seen it, no.
Trying to think what can they pair well with the Weaver, because it has to be like
physical hero.
Yeah, it has to be a physical
but
hero.
But it also depends on what EG goes for, because they get the luxury to have the last pick.
Yeah.
Well, they banned Alk.
The Alk.
EG did.
Yeah. Oh, they're going for the push.
Taking a leaf
Borrowing
out
it from complexity.
Is this a support or a mid hero? Wait. Is Lash a support?
I would assume it's a support, yeah.
I mean, they've got good setup for his stun with SD and with Clockwork.
That same goes for the Mirana. If you do Mirana support, you have It's like similar. I don't know. Maybe
Lesh suffers like with armor for sure though, and then versus all this as a core, that could really be painful for him.
I might actually lean
maybe.
towards more of a Mirana core. I think probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very very hard to decide. And for Wings, the surprise pick. What will be the surprise pick?
I reckon. I think Huskar is pretty good.
Yeah, Lash is like spell damage. Look at their cores; they are all spell damage, right?
Like
All
it.
of them.
Right.
Okay, that's the surprise pick. They're gonna have a lot of minus armor and physical damage from Lycan to push towers.
That is a lot of physical on their side.
So you do seem to be rather impressed or intrigued by Wings' draft. We three of us did predict it, just Mr. EG on the end. Are we seeing a third here, Fogged?
I don't think we
You're
might. I don't think we will.
Doubting it?
I am
Okay.
actually doubting it.
That last pick is like an exclamation mark plus question mark. Very dubious. Not sure. Unsure.
Dubious. Oh, brilliant word. All right. That's a nice way to frame it. You're still feeling, look at that little
I'm
confidence
a little,
there.
maybe I'm a little pleased myself. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. But I'm confident. Yeah.
Well, after their shortcomings in the group stage, EG have already slammed down the gauntlet for Wings Gaming. They have to bounce back now, or will the TI6 champions be eliminated, the second team eliminated at the Boston Major? We'll find out with your casters, Marlene and Capitalist.
Game 2, a slight curveball coming out of Evil Geniuses in their last pick. They deliver a Leshrac, but it's a support Leshrac, so it's not too far from the curve. But the one that's really out of left field here is that last pick, Lycan, Ben. That is a hero that has not been picked a whole lot in really, really long time.
With the rise of Clockwork, I think Lycan has more and more added value. It's a very good way for them to scout. The Beastmaster hasn't been picked as much, so you always feel like you're lacking vision a lot. And then also, I think just naturally very, very good for Clockwork. You can just kill him if he's locked in with you.
And our analyst said we won a lot of physical damage, and some pushing power is also preferred. Lycan delivers both in spades here. Evil Geniuses, smoked up, actually tried to do something with this rotation in through mid over to the Radiant side of jungle, but well-positioned Blink is going to be able to stop that smoke. Evil Geniuses will not catch Wings out of guards this way.
Yeah, notice how Shadow is positioned this game. He's positioned in a much different place to pop the smoke. But rounding out the lineup, see, I was checking out Arteezy's Golden Immortal. Nice.
Always a fan of the hats, Ben. Well, Blocks, they already have one ward that's going to be scattered out. That one's going to just be a free 100 gold for Wings, that aggressive river ward laid out by Evil Geniuses. Wings obviously had their own ward in spot. What they may not be able to catch is this counter ward blocking out the hard camp pull, making sure that Universe may have a better time in his lane. Blocking out pull is really important for an off-lane Clockwork, right?
However, it's the exact same place where they warded last game.
Yeah.
So it's maybe a little bit expected from Wings, especially because they did deward it last game.
One difference we will have is that there's a Slardar, this time on the opposite side. Faith Beyond's going to be playing this Slardar, and he is going to try to make the lane work, despite the fact that he is arguably facing up against a Trine lane that is just as strong. May not be having a Shadow Shaman, but a Shadow Demon Disruption into a Leshrac Split Earth with the Luna there as well, and that increased right-click damage thanks to Lunar Blessing. That's got to be real threatening and hard for Faith Beyond to work with.
Yeah, I don't really think he can survive versus that lane really at all.
And maybe that's where Ice is going to step in. He's making the long trek up the top lane, see if he can help Faith Beyond combat this duo of Crit and Zai. They are going to try and already lay out a kind of ward. Unfortunately, their hard camp is still blocked as that Observer ward is laid on the far right-hand side. So that is one small victory for Wings. We'll see if they can pull some more between the duo of Ice and Faith Beyond here at the top lane. Blink matched up against a mid-to-male Mirana. It's got to be, stun comes out, Disruption. They are going to be able to get a decent amount of damage already onto Ice. He's already leveled the heal, so he's in serious trouble. Crit will be able to pick up the first blood, and Faith Beyond can do nothing to stop it.
Leshrac Shadow Demon is no joke. This support duo was kind of the reign of terror for quite some time in competitive Dota, and Leshrac got nerfed a little bit. I suppose Shadow Demon did too, but it's still very potent, especially with one of the strongest tri-lane carries in the game in Luna.
Yeah, and it's only going to get stronger as they hit level 2 and 3, as we've seen. The current meta is that Shadow Demons are preferring Soul Catcher to be leveled up, which would obviously be nicely combined with the Leshrac's heavy magic damage. Blink should be able to do all right as our mid lane, though, right? He shouldn't be necessarily dying to the Mirana and should be able to pick up some okay CS.
Yep, he should.
So
And he can help the other lanes out with Howl too, which is also kind of important, especially when they combine it with Weaver, who double attacks. But one thing that Wings really needs to try to do is stop this top camp from being spawned. Crit. He's in deep.
Yeah, he really is. Ice. Crit is actually hasted up here, but he's going to be, Faith Beyond not quite there. The arrow's going to land on Ice. And unfortunately, Faith Beyond, he's stuck behind his own dying ally. A second kill being picked up by Evil Geniuses with the assist from Samael from long range and mid.
Ice thought that he had trapped the Shadow Demon in, but little did he know that Sumail was just shooting an arrow from mid and smoked up, looking for an easy kill perhaps on Blink, but he will Quelling Blade his way into the jungle.
Maybe we'll see Zion Crit do a full wraparound here. Right now, because Faith Beyond is inside the jungle, he's not giving a whole lot of information on these supports. Blink is still playing really passive here. One of the big ups of having a Lycan, especially on the Radiant side. We've seen this a time or two. He can go ahead and neutral. Still, though, the supports are going to be able to find him. Will they have enough to be able to bring him down? With the Diabolic Edict, might be possible. The arrow barely going to miss. Not quite fast enough, but he might still be able to run Blink down. With the extra couple of right clicks, they will be able to deliver. 3-3. 3 kills in 3 minutes for Evil Geniuses. They are keeping up the heat here in this second game against Wings.
And they're getting tons of farm on their cores. Luna, 14 denies, 19 last hits, and Sumail doing very well in his own right with second most CS on the board. And Wings can get involved pretty early on, but this is a pretty terrible start for them. And they can only farm the jungle for so long before they have to worry about the SD Luna combination beating on their towers.
Even Universe is getting a decent amount out of his off lane thanks to the fact that Ice was forced up to top early on. So he was just dealing with a Disruptor's harassment. Universe is actually going to be leveling up Rocket Flare, getting some early CS off of that as well. 9-3 for him as an off lane by 4 minutes is a very acceptable score.
And unusual build from the Weaver, going for the bottle very early on. Normally if you want the region in lane, he'll go for the Ring of Health into the Lincoln Sphere, but this game maybe thinking that he needs to be involved a lot earlier and can't just farm up the Lincolns. But this puts him, it gives him much more pressure to check that rune, which is very dangerous versus SD Luna. Even a hero like Weaver isn't safe.
Blink is going to be delivering himself boots pretty soon here, and you also have level 6, which is a potential kill opportunity if his supports can set something up. But they're trying to go on bottom right now. Universe is going to be glimpsed back outside of his cogs. The Fairy Fire and the Disruption will be the save, but Shadow actually comes forward, goes for the Shukuchi, and the last right click will be able to finish him off. But Shadow, he just sacrifices his life unless his Shallow Grave can save him. Shukuchi up in a second here. The Diabolic Edict is delivering. Can he just get a little bit more damage? He couldn't get it. The healing salve will be there, and Shadow will heal up to full, and he's still got another healing salve sitting in the bank too. Wings finally strike back with their first kill of the game.
Some amazing individual play on both sides. Crit at the right place at the right time almost saved Universe's life, and Universe right back down to the bottom lane, and Crit will get a Observer Ward behind enemy lines, but immediately dewarded by Y.
Evil Genius is just going to keep on going. They're going to get the Disruption off into the Shukuchi. This is perfect. They actually hit the stun or the cogs. They miss both though. Shadow is now able to get some distance away. Another Shukuchi coming up, and he will be able to get a little bit away, but there's a counter ward there. He didn't expect that one, and Ice could not possibly save his core, nor can he save himself here, as he is just going to be downed by the 3-man of EG. They bring their forces.
Greedy.
Yeah.
He just wanted a little bit of extra damage from Shukuchi. He thought he was going to get away, but no lack of sentry wards on the side of Evil Geniuses, making the score 5-1. Arteezy still free farming top in the meanwhile.
I mean, these early kills lead into the supports being able to have a lot of gold to be able to work with. And, well, there's the ultimate finally used out by Blink. It looks like Crit's going to be run down. He's actually trying to go for a quick TP. Maybe Blink can finish him off still. No, he gets away! If only Blink had another half a second, or he got lucky on a crit and he could have gotten that second kill for Wings. But it just doesn't happen here. Evil Geniuses with a tight control in the laning phase.
Yeah, 40% chance to crit, and he didn't get any of them. On 2 units and his hero.
Yeah.
Unlucky for him.
And Faith Beyond is, we haven't talked about this offlaner, but he's kind of calmly farming away with the Iron Talon that he picked up after the laning phase. He is going to lose his tower because of this, but at least he's not giving away any extra gold to the Arteezy carry and Luna.
They're seeing the ways of the Leshrac.
They certainly are. Zai showing a remarkable ability from a support. Diabolic Edict. one of the few supports that is able to give you a large amount of pushing power. Saw the power of that last game with the Shadow Shaman facing up against Tree Protector and that dedicated push. Look at that. No crits from the Wolves, no crits from his hero. Wings got to be a little bit irritated about that one.
Yeah, they're really struggling to get some kills. I think their lanes are like pretty decently strong, maybe aside from the Lycan mid, but he does give the other lanes Howl in the meantime, so it shouldn't be that bad for them. And Sumail's getting a lot of damage in on this mid tower. It's already at half HP with the aid of a siege creep. And top lane, why in no man's land?
He certainly is. An easy cleanup kill for EG. They've already taken that off lane tower too, so this is just the icing on the cake. Wings are, in many ways, abandoning their lanes between Faith Beyond and Blink, and Evil Geniuses are punishing Wings heavily for the lack of presence in lanes, chipping away at these towers and taking map control.
Their vision's also much better. They saw the support come all the way up to lane and drop into their ward, so they got a D-ward and a free kill because of their excellently placed ops. And now comes time for Arteezy to join the team with his Eclipse at the ready.
Why? Alongside Ice, they're going to try and put a stop to this aggression near the mid lane. I think they know that Evil Geniuses are wanting to be able to take this tower in the next minute or so. They may not be expecting this full wrap from top lane behind the tier 1 towers. They're going to be able to lead off with the disruption. Arrow is going to be able to land. Ice doesn't stand a chance in hell. Where he heads to for 15 seconds.
Universe in the meantime.
Yeah, Universe is backing himself up. Looks like he's not going to be caught. He's going to let his EG boys put some pressure on mid, and they're going to start wrapping now into the jungle, and they're going to try and sandwich someone, it looks like. Clockwork can start poking his head out a little bit soon, but the successful scan comes out from Wings, I believe. And they are now in a position to be able to have a brawl here inside the jungle. The question is, who's going to be able to find the initiation? Shikuchi goes out. They're going to be able to send poor Crit all the way back deeper inside the jungle. They're going to try and run him down, but he actually has a ward. They'll be able to just TP out, and Blink gets nailed by the arrow in the meantime. So completely wasted movement there by Wings. Evil Geniuses force something out of the opposing team and will walk away pretty happy. It looks like actually they're not going to walk away. They're going to keep up the pressure. They're going to leave Arteezy here and see if they can threaten that last outer remaining tier 1 tower of Wings.
And they got a good observer ward deep inside the Radiant jungle. So they're just getting so much out of this early game and using the Luna's early game ability to take down all these towers. Combined with the Lush Track, these towers are all gone.
They certainly are. 10 minutes already. Top 2 net worth on the board for our Luna and our Mirana by a large margin, thanks to all these outer towers being gone. And we really haven't seen the pushing power of Wings come up yet. Lycan, of course, having used his shapeshift twice now to try and get kills and failed to get either. Has actually not been able to pressure any towers of his own. He starts getting a little bit of damage on the tier 1, but you could already see Evil Geniuses not going to give that up so easily, not even chip damage. They quickly move both Universe and Sumail to look to punish.
They're also lacking a lot of damage. No weave up on the Dazzle yet, and no medallion up on either side.
Crit, that's not where you want to be. Ooh. He ran into a smoke, though, so Evil Geniuses, the rest of them, will not be caught by that heavy rotation that was coming out from Wings. Wings are just looking to try and clear out their jungle at this point, but there is still remnants of Evil Geniuses remaining with these deep, deep wards.
And let's see what Luna's going to build. I see just a Lance at the moment. It's typically mass stats, but I was curious whether or not he was going to go for an HOD early, but realizing that Wings line up and their bans kind of suggested that they wanted to fight constantly, we'll go for a more team-oriented
he sees the ward,
build.
But guess what? Universe, he sees you too. He's not opting to go for the hook shot, though. A little bit scared. He'll just give you a glimpse back anyway, even if there isn't heroes behind that disruptor. So he holds off for now. Another ward going to be countered, though. Evil Geniuses will take away the defensive position of Wings. Looks like they're trying to give which they desperately need, the Disruptor level 6. Trying to give them a lot of solo experiences. That's really the only way they can contest Evil Geniuses, it seems like at this point. EG have a full firepower at this point.
He also might be able to stop TPs if they TP back to defend against the Lycan. Lycan already did take down that T1 tower in the mid lane, so something going the way of Wings, and why looks like he's just going to be able to leech almost a half level of experience from that.
Wings continue to secede as much towers as possible in exchange for farm. They're dividing their map up into the hard left-hand side and letting Evil Geniuses have the right hand, but EG going to make yet another deep incursion. 4-man smoke up, passing near that tier 2, and it looks like they're going to wrap through into that ancient area. See if they can grab someone in the off-lane camp, or maybe run into Shadow here. They actually have already the counter ward laid out. The hookshot misses, but it doesn't seem to matter. They can blow up these squishy agility heroes so damn quickly. Glimpse back, but Arteezy still in a perfectly fine position. And it's not like he's an easy hero to kill at this point. He's got the Dragon Lance, Ring of Aquila, and Strength Treads if he's really feeling threatened. And now they just found a big old Ancient stack they can take advantage of if they can just give themselves space.
They have the doggy scouting it out, so I don't really think they can take it along with the amp. Amp has expired. They'd have to use Disruption, and Weaver's about to respawn, so it doesn't look like the fight that they want to take.
They will have a Vlad soon on Lycan, so hopefully these little doggies will upgrade to Wolves and actually output some real damage for Wings. You're seeing the difference right now between some of these cores. Blink, as our mid, is kind of operating as sort of the one position, as he's kind of been the most AFK farming, but Sumail is still able to keep tempo, getting kills, keeping up his farm, and a lot of that net worth comes in play with all these towers they've managed to take. 4 towers already gone from Wings. Little remaining map control for them, which means they have to do a lot more grouping up, awaiting Evil Genius's aggression.
And surprisingly, Faith Beyond has not yet died this game, and he's actually pretty close to his Blink deck as a result, 1,500 gold, so maybe a couple minutes left of farming for him, and EG still waiting for some items of their own. Scepter over halfway completed for the Mirana, and looks like Luna going for that Yasha and Zamanta style, but they are way stronger than Wings at the moment, unless Crit gets caught out.
Oh, but the disruption goes down first, and now the arrow is going to nail Y. No opportunity for a Static Storm. +1 going to be caught. Universe manages to snatch up Ice, tries to get off the shallow grave. Going to be blown up too quick. Evil Geniuses take 2 right in front of a tier 2 tower. Where are they going to go from here? Right now their top lane's being threatened, so they're not going to immediately opt for trying to take that tier 2. Instead, they're going to go for Ancients and let Sumail try and deal with Blink at the top lane. But that split push is coming too fast. They are going to be able to get the disruption. Zai follows up the split earth. Nope, actually, the ultimate goes down too quickly. The Weaver, that is still an important ability used. And Wings not feeling comfortable fighting here, may not be able to contest this big old Ancient stack. But then again, at the same time, it seems like Arteezy still does it a bit too slow.
Their vision game is way too strong. Look at these two Observer Wards right outside the T2 tower. Wings even have a Sentry Ward, but it's just outside of range, and they just know every angle that Wings is coming from and can easily hookshot or just pick off the supports as they wish. And on top of that, they keep dewarding Wings' obs, and now they're forced to 5-man the Ancients just because of how confined they feel.
I mean, that's really the first mover's advantage, right? You're the first team to be able to make the aggressive smokes into the enemy side of the map. You lay down the vision first. It's harder to be able to counter ward, and you get to be able to see the rotations of the supports and get a better idea of where their wards are being placed.
First mover's advantage. You sound like a businessman, Cap.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that one, Ben. I knew you would appreciate more than any other. Aghanim's almost finished up by Sumail.
Are they going to smoke under the ward? They're grouped up for a smoke, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it's right under the ward.
Man, they have that counter ward too! Oh, God, they were literally standing right on top of it. Evil Geniuses. Now, this is an interesting part, because you know the Wings smoke is going to fail, but it is near Roshan. How are Evil Geniuses exactly going to respond? Well, they do have this nifty ability called Rocket Flare. Universe can spot out a Roshan attempt, and they're just about to do it too. So it's not even like there's going to be a race here for Wings. They can't exactly blow up Roshan, or maybe they can. This amplified damage is allowing them to beat down Rosh so quickly with the help of the Swarm as well. It's already so low, but the arrow's about to come in and already nails Shadow. Now the follow-up's going to start coming in. Rocket, hook shot, ready to go for Universe. Static Storm laid out, but it's a little bit off the mark. They are going to be able to jump into Cogs, but the stage has already been taken, and Y is on the retreat, but he's been taken out by EG. EG members just swarming into the Roshan pit. They're going to be able to grab all their Wings heroes inside. And that's going to be a metamorphosis used by the Lycan. He has no shapeshift to be able to get out of here. So that's going to be a third hero down for Wings. Evil Geniuses, even if they lose Roshan, they clean up on Wings heroes.
Wow, that was really close, just being an utter disaster for Wings. And after that, that was not so bad considering the catastrophe it could have become if they had actually stolen the Aegis. But they went for a risky play and didn't get punished too badly for it. and the arrow on Shadow really slowed down their Roshan, and the Clockwork Cogs kind of trapped Sumail in, but he still dies.
Yeah, why not being able to get a real solid hit on that Static Storm Kinetic Field combination just kind of kept EG at bay, but ultimately getting the Aegis will not win you a team fight, especially with all that AoE of Evil Geniuses, and they've got great team fight as well.
He committed the Static Storm Kinetic Field like outside the pit,
Yeah.
rather than waiting for them to engage, but with the leap inside it and the Clockwork hook shotting in, it was only the supports that were kind of kept at bay.
And that will mean Evil Geniuses will take a very large net worth lead. They're already hovering about 6 to 7K, but you can see the difference between our Luna and our Lycan at this point. 2,000 net worth lead for our TZ, and it's only going to grow as this Luna really starts coming online with the ability to Moonglaive, and we can also build greedier on Luna when she feels ahead as well. Manta into Butterfly, leaving the BKB for later. Wings stationing up really nicely here with the counter ward in place. They're going to be able to immediately jump onto Sumail. The Static Storm is laid out, so the disruption will not be able to save Sumail immediately. They need to be able to get a little bit better, and that's where the sun comes in. Nice play from the Leshrac, and they just run over all of Wings with the help of our TZ's ultimate. The Eclipse just rips them apart, and the arrow snags. Why? No retreat for Wings. Evil Geniuses cut off the head. 3 to 17, 18 minutes in. Wings on the back foot in a series that they cannot afford to lose a single game in.
And even the farm that's coming in for them, it's not really going to help them out too much. We see the Necro book up on Lycan, but versus a farm Luna, those are just going to die very, very quickly. He might not even take the damage from that because of all the illusions. And now EG is just able to farm everywhere. The risky play for the Roche failed for them, so Wings have to rely on EG mistakes at this point for heroes to kind of constantly be caught out, get picked off by the Sardar, for maybe Shadow Demon be slightly out of position so he doesn't get a clutch disruption like he just did for the fights, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to mount this XP and gold disadvantage that they're at.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this farm distribution, right? Is that you have both a Luna and a Mirana on your team. Two heroes that are able to wave clear very quickly, who both want to be able to eat up a lot of farm, but Universe is playing this is rather sacrificial Clockwork, who's just been looking for engagements, and he's got two really powerhouse supports behind him, so they can actually confidently take any kind of initiation the Universe finds simply because of the way he sets up the Leshrac for these engagements, and potentially some of the cores as well. And Universe has obviously had great success at that. He's only died once, he's got Blade Mail, and will soon have a Force Staff. So it's not even like Universe is falling behind by any means. This is a wealthy Clockwork by regular Clockwork standards.
Shadow dodges a hook shot, but runs right into RTZ. They kind of know where he is.
You gotta be able to see him for a second there. Unfortunately, the arrow and the cogs and the split earth. Wow, just centimeters away or half second away.
Using the TP Shikuchi trick.
Nicely played, and Evil Geniuses, I'm sure they're not going to be too put out by that one. They still have really good map control. They have to be a big concern about the initiation from Faith Beyond, as that is really the only way that Wings can actually win team fights at this point. But for the most part, Evil Geniuses can feel confident pushing forward, trying to force fights, and take objectives if they want to. Though I'm not sure if they're down to try and push tier 2s just yet.
Yeah, perhaps not. But I like EG's how they've changed from the group stage until now. I think two of their weakest strengths were, or two of their biggest weaknesses rather, were one, their support duo weren't always working together. They always had an Ogre +1, and Ogre just did his own thing, and the other support just babysat.
Right.
This game is pretty much the complete opposite. Shadow Demon, Leshrac constantly running around together, getting kills together, so they're actually involved. Teamwork is the essence of the game at the moment. And then a second thing is utilizing drafts. I think a lot of the drafts before were more EG drafts, going for like the Sven Medusa and other things that we've seen them run a lot, but now they're incorporating a lot of elements from teams that have had a lot better performance in them. The Shadow Demon Luna in particular, the Leshrac from Complexity, which they lost to twice, and now they're actually showing signs of being able to adapt and take some elements from other teams and use it to their own strength.
Faith Beyond, you feeling it right now? He'd have to get real lucky, I think. He's actually just going to sprint himself towards the rest of his team. Now, this is interesting. They have this Leshrac pushing out. What they may not expect is that Wings are going to make this invasion into their jungle, but unfortunately, our Slardar did get spotted as he rotated out. They have two really good wards up here in the top lane. think Evil Geniuses, with the way they're playing, right, they're controlling so much of the right hand and bottom half of the map that they know they need the vision on the other side. They're actually going to be able to pounce here with the Moonlight Shadow. Their counterword's just not there in time. Now Disruptor's going to be caught. He managed to get off the Static Storm, but it's a bit too late. Arteezy's Eclipse will keep some of these heroes at bay. Nice jump in from Faith Beyond, but Disruption will manage to buy Arteezy some time. Now he turns, fights with a beautiful Split Earth. He lines up those glaze, managed to bring down 2. A TP out from Shadow will allow him to escape, but it's still 3 dead from Wings, and Evil Geniuses look to be able to secure more.
Almost every single move that Wings has made this game has just utterly failed. And I would say the least disastrous one is the Roshan, if that gives you any perspective. But at this point, EG, they're just rolling together as a ball. The disruptions have been completely on point so that no one's really at risk of dying. And the Luna is just far too far for any of the Wings heroes to stand up with. The Eclipse alone is already enough to keep them from attacking. And then just a Glaive bouncing kills all the Wolves, kills all the Necros, and kind of kills the supports as well.
I mean, this is really looking like the big downside of being the reigning TI champs, right? Wings were able to establish something, figure something out about the meta that none of the other teams were quite on the same level, but post-TI, everyone's been looking at Wings, studying them. They definitely have a target on their back, and it just seems like Evil Geniuses have made enough of a good study of Wings that they are countering every single aggressive move that they attempt.
I think one of the things that they learned was that they don't abandon the offlane. They don't Iron Talon very, very often on their offlaners. They always go through from the start, and with a very, very strong lane like the Leshrac SD Luna, the offlaner, even if he dies, he's going to TP right back and just die again and again and again. And sometimes they'll even bring more heroes, like they brought the Dazzle in this particular case, and just dies even more often. So they just completely fed their 2 supports and the Luna as a result of perhaps a lot of intense studying of how Wings plays.
And Evil Geniuses now seem to be very well set up. They've got these constant Manta illusions as well as Disruption illusions coming out from Crit on top of that. The Luna's able to, with very little risk, push out these lanes. Wings are constantly having to push them back. Otherwise, they're just giving up free information. And it just becomes a game that is freely EG's to set the tempo, right? They can go ahead and decide when they want to farm up until they get, say this BKB, now on Luna. Maybe they choose to actually be aggressive, take Roshan number 2 and go high ground for this one. It's all entirely up to EG as they're the ones controlling the map, and Wings just have to wait for their opportunity to take the game back.
And with that, the opportunities are just becoming less and less with all these items coming out. You mentioned the BKB up on the Luna, but everyone else has a defensive item as well. Clockwork, he has the armor from the Blade Mail. Leshrac has a Yules and a Force Staff to boot. There's a Ghost Scepter on the Mirana, so all this physical damage is either mitigated by physical immunity or armor or Yules. Just all these items that, how are Wings going to be able to break that, break those items on top of the defensive disruption? They don't have any AoE control, I guess. Maybe the Disruptor.
Disruption and Manta illusions will push out mid. Evil Geniuses will follow those illusions in and cross into the enemy jungle, see if they can wrap around behind Wings, who they currently see Shadow pushing out this bottom lane. They're going to go in pretty deep to make sure there isn't an easy escape for Wings as they start backing themselves away. Fortunately, Shadow does have the Spidey senses. He'll get out, but with Ice, he won't be as lucky. He's going to be hook-shotted up, bounced back by the Cogs. He attempts something here with the Shallow Grave, just buys his team 5 more seconds of time. But in the end, he will fall 3-21 now as Evil Geniuses just handle Wings. Wings just trying to buy themselves time to farm up, but it is entirely in EG's hands at this point.
And Zai has not yet died once this game. 5-0-10 on his very involved Leshrac, and I have to praise the support play from Evil Genius. Not only are they getting a lot of kills, but the ward system that they've laid out from minute 0 have just been completely conducive to EG dominating the entire map. And as you mentioned, they've always been a step ahead of Wings, just a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes ahead of whenever Wings places wards, and just always getting the intel on the supports before they're actually able to do anything.
And this is what happens when you have a powerhouse support. Clockwork can go ahead and by himself set up a potential TP. He tries to hit, hook shot, force out over the side, almost nails Faith Beyond, but can't quite get him. In fact, he's dying to these Necrobooks. Zai tries to help him out, but in the process, he's putting himself in danger. He just gets ripped apart by Blink. Blink turns toward the tier 2, but sees Sumail's TP, so he backs himself away. Still, even just a support kill is good for Wings at this point, even if it comes at a cost of Aegis. Any little bit of gold they can get is happy.
He's worth 700.
Yeah,
so
he's actually worth a lot.
they almost got the jump on Clockwork. He was at around 150 HP, close enough to make EG fret a little bit.
And that would have been a big loss, right? Because the way EG are setting all this control is by initially having those aggressive wards and then keeping up that network, as you were pointing out. And Gem on Wings can easily dismantle that whole entire network of wards and leave EG a bit more in the dark. Oh man, full out Ethereal Blade. Samuel's not even level 16 yet, and he's already got Ethereal Blade behind that Aghanim Scepter, so heavy amount of magic damage. It's going to be coming on the Wings players. They do not have BKBs to be able to deal with this yet.
Nor do they have great high ground defense. What is their high ground defense? Kinetic field stall? Like, how do they get rid of all these illusions? There's no Lion, there's no Timber Saw, just no way to clear this army of Manta and Disruption illusions as they approach up their high ground. And their stalling tactics of having an Invoker constantly throw out spells is not going to work this game.
Yeah, the best Lycan can do at this point is just split push. He does have a double damage as well as the Necron books up. We'll see if he chooses to TP back and try and defend, or if he's relying on the rest of Wings to try and push back Evil Geniuses for him to get space. Already Tier 2 tower is down. Evil Geniuses are hesitating. But what they don't realize is that Wings is actually setting up. They're going to keep on going, and Faith Beyond is going to sit behind Shadow. Or Blink, rather, as he goes into the high ground.
He was scouted out, though, with the rocket
flare. So now Evil Geniuses know there's two heroes on the top lane. Nothing to stop them from full out pushing. Clockwork is going to TP back and see if he can actually defend these Raxes. The glyph goes down. And Wings, they need to try and stop some of these TP back from Evil Geniuses. They're going to be able to pull one back. That's going to be Arteezy, but Arteezy has both Aegis as well as BKB. Meanwhile, Lycan is going to be chased away from his push at the top lane. Arteezy disrupted up, is going to be losing his Aegis, it looks like. He's going to be crushed up. Actually pops BKB, turns with a clip, and he instantly dies. Now he's going to come back with no BKB, and maybe Wings can take round 2. Moonlight Shadow goes down, but they already have the Amplify armor onto Arteezy. Double Force Staffs gives him some space. They're also going to be able to pull back Zai, it seems like. Will still manage to be able to go on Arteezy. Disruption really won't slow this one down. Quit just goes for the TP out, but Zai, he also gets a TP out himself. Wings pick up pretty big. They lose their bottom lane of Rax, yes, but they managed to take down both the Aegis as well as the Luna. That was worth around 2,500 gold right there. They took the Tier 2 and Tier 3 tower. Considering the dire circumstances that Wings were in just moments before, that seemed like the best case scenario you could get.
That's huge for them. I agree. That's pretty much the best case that you can hope for. And if the Clockwork Hookshot had hit on the top lane, that might have been a different story. They might not have had enough damage to kill the Luna twice. And Crit is doing his best with constant disruption saves and the Force Stabs, but it's just not enough to help with the Luna. Maybe when she gets Butterfly, she'll be impervious to that sort of play.
And now we're going to see a whole new Wings. This time around, with Evil Geniuses feel confident enough to push high ground, Wings can contest with their 5-man, because after that fight, they have BKB on both the Weaver as well as their Lycan. Reinvigorated by these items, Wings may feel comfortable with a 5-on-5.
And almost the one on the Slardar as well. And so there's another double damage. Lycan had a double damage for that top push, which pretty much made all this possible for Wings.
Maybe they can snag another one. Upset Fate once again. Was it 5-21, 30 minutes in? EG once held a 15,000 net worth lead and a 14,000 experience lead. That since has been slightly chipped away. Evil Geniuses were kind of looking for an opening here. Clockwork was setting up with a hook shot, but blocked out by the Wolves. He doesn't attempt it just yet.
They're kind of all in at this point. If they lose a fight, it's game over. They bought a gem, they have multiple BKBs, and if they can't win a fight with this, the lead's only going to get way, way worse. So it looks like Faith Beyond Wolf Scout of that DD could be a potential changer for one of the next fights, but not if it's on Slardar. And Blink on top.
They have Hookshot to be able to stop this BKB TP out, so Blink may be in some serious trouble. He's going to have to try and get some sort of play here to eat through the cogs and still get out. He doesn't even pop the BKB. He realizes that he is very dead, and Evil Geniuses, with that pick on the carry, start marching down that top lane.
And with that, I think there might be even some level of like, oh, I have buyback. I can buy back and use BKB. If he uses BKB, it'd pretty much be up by the time he bought back, but I don't know if he just wanted to save his 10-second charge or maybe wanted to fool them into thinking that he potentially had a buyback.
EG keep on doing this. Instead of going for straight up the objective, they try and get that extra kill. Not able to get it just yet. They're going to go back for that tier 2 tower. Moonlight Shadow down now. And Lycan will be up in time if EG try and go for the high ground push.
And Shadow eyeing that T1 tower on the bottom, as well as maybe a TP scroll to round out his inventory. And EG, are they going to push? They don't have the Aegis this time, but they are together as 5, as no one has to defend against a split push.
Shadow still feeling confident. This is another thing that BKB does for him, right? Because at this point, Evil Geniuses only have the hook shot to be able to stop a BKB TP out. So if Shadow plays it correctly, and they have to hook shot to initiate, he can still BKB TP out. It gives his split pushing a lot more power, a lot more confidence in that.
Yeah, they definitely need way more items and way more split pushing to overcome the amount of armor that they have on AG. Even Leshrac is closing in on a Shiva's guard. Just 800 gold away from his staff, and then Luna has Butterfly. Somebody's probably going to pick up an AC fairly soon. Even the Ethereal Blade on the Mirana gives her a fair amount of armor.
Have Wings managed to shuffle Evil Geniuses players around the map enough that there's an opening for initiation here? We'll see. A 4-man smoke, and they start leading towards Zai.
The Lotus Orb is also going to be very problematic because that dispels the amplifiers, and it's as good as like 15 armor.
Clockwork. His position actually kills the smoke there on the Disruptor, and the smoke will fade on these rest of the heroes as well.
Straight 5-on-5, I think they have very little chance of winning. They still need to push out the lanes constantly. But the problem is that Luna is doing the same thing too.
Now Evil Geniuses have managed to spot out a few members. Rocket Flare there on the Disruptor. Not leading out with the hookshot just yet. Another Moonlight Shadow going to be used here. Hookshot actually going to miss out. Universe missing the mark once again and maybe caught because of it. Perch goes down. They actually manage to see the Luna, and they initiate onto him already down to half HP, but it pops BKB and turns. Eclipse goes out, and he starts chasing down heroes. They will manage to get a Yules onto the Slardar setting up, but he actually BKBs. Now he turns for the crush. Arteezy's BKB is down. He Disruptions goes down, but they're just going to be able to surround Arteezy. He heads himself into the trees, trying to block off the path as best as possible. Turns and fights. Maybe he can actually fight through this one. Blink. No, it's just going to be too much damage. Arteezy falls, but he dished out a hell of a beating onto Wings, and they are going to be forced back as the rest of Evil Geniuses, they still have Samael. Zai is looking real low. Shadow's actually feeling confident. He's going to be able to jump forward. Faith Beyond nails Samael. Doesn't actually die. They kill Samael. They got him dead right to Universe. He pops forward with the blade mill. He sees all these low heroes, and he just wants at least one of them. Ice Ice will be the kill. Faith Beyond doesn't get hit by the shots. Battery Assault not lucky enough, and they'll be able to get a full wipe onto Evil Geniuses. And what the hell did Wings lose out of that? A Disruptor and a Dazzle.
These BKBs just caught EG off guard. They thought they had the stun lock onto the Slar. He popped BKB and just ran at them. They got Luna to half health before she even popped her BKB, and she actually does not have that much in her defensive toolkit to deal with this Amplify after she BKBs. And the Shadow Demon Disruption actually kind of put him in a very bad position where all of Wings were just able to get right on top of him. He did play in the trees, though. That was a nifty little trick running down to the south, because there are a lot of units. The Wolves, the Necrobooks, the Lycan himself, and the Sora are all trying to attack the Luna, but at the end of the day, she dies, and that's a huge net worth for Wings.
Yeah, I mean, he almost dealt enough damage that Wings were all looking so low that I think other teams might have actually broke and just said, okay, we killed Arteezy, let's back out. But Wings, so comfortable at being able to play around each other, even at 100 HP. They managed to combine their teamwork to wipe out the rest of Evil Geniuses, only losing supports.
I dismissed their chances of winning a team fight, but there's some other factors too, like the weave, which I think is a very big deal in this sort of a game. And they still don't have an AC, nor do they have a Vlad on the Dire side. So that weave, especially with the Amp, really starts to stack up. And the Swarm.
And we should really, I mean, that initiation is all important, right? If they do not have that Slardar jumping on the Luna like that, getting him to half HP and basically forcing BKB and Eclipse out of him, then that one initiation forces Evil Genius to lose so much of their power, because then Wings just kind of kite him around, right? They pop BKBs of their own, they bounce back, they wait for the BKB to wear out on Arteezy, and then they just go back in. It's all about the initiation for Wings, and Faith Beyond, he had that beautifully set up with his position deep inside the trees here.
And BKB Wars should go the way of Wings because they have so much more physical damage. Their lineup is almost entirely based around physical damage aside from the Disruptor. But they're at a huge net worth disadvantage, so EG thought that they could take that fight. But superior fighting, superior positioning, and superior kiting all led to that victory from Wings, and now they will be able to take a prize T1 tower. There is a Lycan Wolf scouted inside Roche, and EG are headed down mid.
They certainly are. Evil Geniuses were sending illusions out there. They actually paused momentarily. They're not sure how many heroes are inside the base and how many heroes are actually behind the Weaver. Shadow will manage to get that tier 1 tower. Evil Geniuses committing nothing but illusions to chip away at that tier 3.
They can't send heroes, or else Glimpse will be used, and then someone will have to use their BKB. So they don't want to. They don't like that trade at all.
That really is the big high ground defense mechanism for Wings, right? They don't have many, but they do have that one. Glimpse being either an ability that forces out the BKB or forces out Evil Geniuses to fight around that tier 3 when they try and retreat. There's a little bit of extra pushing power for you. Shadow picks up the Maelstrom.
Very good at clearing the illusions. Their AoE is just very, very poor. Pretty much all out on the single target physical damage, but Maelstrom will diversify their assets a little bit.
If he gets the Mjolnir, we'll have Static Charge on the field as well, which will have a lot of opportunities to proc off of all these glaives that are bouncing around.
Yep, it's very important when you put it on a BKB hero and combine that with the Dazzle, potentially even a Grave from Dazzle. They should be looking pretty good. And now the Roche scouting begins. No HOD creeps this game, so it'll just have to be Lycan Wolves and or Luna Illusions that will look inside and stare down the big bad Roche.
Aghanims on Universe, though, that's a very big pickup. Now he can go ahead and bounce in and out of these fights with that big initiation. 12 seconds cooldown on the hook shot now.
They have to kill this Dazzle early on in the fight. Even like the Shallow Grave on the Shadow so that he could time-lapse last fight.
Yeah.
It's like made a very, very big difference. And now they're sweeping around, but there is an Observer Ward placed. It will not catch wind of the Moonlight Shadow as it's half duration.
Hasted Samael Marana. Invisible thanks to the Moonlight Shadow, surges forward, but is not finding any of the members as Wings, as they're sitting deep inside the trees right now. Arteezy's smoke did pop. He turns back around for a moment. But either way, Wings seem to have gotten out very cleanly. They're going to leave Shadow here for now, it seems.
And there's an Observer Ward to the south that Faith Beyond has not yet scouted out, and that will give EG a very, very good idea of where they are, which will give them enough information to take Roche out on their own. And with the backup of the Aegis and Cheese, their chance of losing a team fight should get much slimmer. But after their last fight, they still have to be very concerned about how it's going to go. Are they going to be able to kite the BKBs? Do they think they have enough physical damage to break through the BKBs, even with Weave? I think it's safer to kite and just constantly send illusions and try and get them to blow cooldowns.
Right.
Or split push, so they're split up. That's the two ways that they want to fight. BKB rush with mass armor from the Weave, or split push so they're not fighting as 5.
Well, you want to talk about low committal pushes? Wings are doing a bit of that of their own. While Roshan was going down, they sent both Wolves as well as the Necrobook minions through to mid lane. Unfortunately, it didn't quite last long enough for them to take that tier 2 tower, but they do chip it down to 369. Looking to take that a bit later and get that bounty into their coffers. But a Yule Scepter now for our Slardar.
An additional tool for him to save himself and not get owned by the Eclipse without having to use his BKB. They need as many kiting abilities as possible, and their lanes are just barely past the river on the top lane at least, and that's not going to be enough for EG to back up. And with one lane already down and this T3 pretty much already dead, I don't think they can avoid this.
They may be getting stronger, but once that tier 3 tower is down, it becomes so much harder to deal with Luna pushes. Once they start getting some attacks out, they start bouncing around between the Raxes and these little buildings, start hitting the heroes. Yep. And it sets the stage for a team fight that you don't want to take, even though it's based around your base.
So in theory, this Luna should not die. She has Satanic BKB Butterfly. They don't have any MKBs yet, and they have Defensive Disruption, and an Aegis. Like, she should feel very, very safe pushing up this hill, but things can always go awry, and the EG kind of sensed that foreboding possibility that they could lose this fight.
They've still got plenty of time on the Aegis, so if they want to chip away until they take that range Rex, wait until the Aegis is a little bit lower cooldown, then maybe then they're forced into a high ground. But for now, you're right. They're definitely posturing themselves a lot more defensively than I guess would be expected.
And on the flip side, you have Shadow, who doesn't even go for a Hurricane Pike versus the Clockwork. Normally you'll see like 4 steps on his first item, maybe not on Weaver, but on a lot of heroes. But he's not scared. He just went all-out damage, and which is very significant considering his net worth. He's only a little bit behind the Luna, and that may be enough for them to win a team fight.
Arrow comes out. Not going to catch any of the Wings members for free.
And double damage pinged out. Arteezy headed towards it.
Oh no.
So he's going to be hitting for, it looks like, a measly 480.
I mean, if you were waiting for an opportunity to push, that double damage is like Ice Frog urging you to go high ground.
And there's still a lot of time left on that double damage, and they will see it right now, although kind of hard to see against Luna's blue hero.
TI champions. 1 game down in this single elimination, best of 3. The hardest fight ahead is already, you can see the Moonglaze, and now the hook shot to the back lines. Shadow's been caught, bounced out. He can't even use his ultimate as he'll still stick around the same HP, so they're going to lose a full lane of Rax there. And no real committal whatsoever, almost taking down Faith Beyond. Evil Geniuses quickly start setting up for the next push. They may not have that double damage anymore, but they still have that Aegis intact. 1 lane of Rax is all that separates them from being able to get Mega Creeps in what should be an inevitable win for Evil Genius in this series. Scouting Arrow goes out, Disruption laid down, but Faith Beyond is going to be able to hit the stun. Immediately afterwards, they can get a lot of damage onto Arteezy because of this, but he pops the Manta, just keeps on going, knowing that if he can kill this tier 3 tower, look at the damage bouncing around to the back lines. Now the hook shot, it just got 2. Universe locks him inside the cogs and lets Arteezy go straight for the Raxes. He knows he do not have to win this team fight. All they have to do is get the Raxes down, and they'll be able to have Megas. Sumail distracting some of the heroes of Wings, but the Raxes are down, and now the real fight begins. Wings have to fight for their lives. The BKB goes off, but Blink doesn't have Shapeshift yet, and he can't actually beat out Arteezy. He still has that Aegis intact, and now Wings are going to have to fight against Mega Creeps and against a very, very big Evil Geniuses underneath the ground of their tier 4 towers.
And T4 is arguably easier to push with Luna as the Claves keep bouncing back and forth, and they might be too low before the fight even starts. Arteezy still backed up by his entire support crew.
The Wii starts building up as Faith Beyond gets his initiation on his side of the back lines, but the Eclipse goes down, and Wings do not have the BKBs to be able to defend against this. They have to go straight back to their throne, the fountain, but meanwhile the throne's actually being targeted. The arrow tanked up by Faith Beyond. They go straight for Arteezy and take down that big carry, but the Aegis is about to be finished up, and the throne's already at half health. Static Storm goes down, but Arteezy's going to be gifted a Disruption. Just more damage to lay into throne. Wings desperately trying to take out these big damage dealers, but they just can't do it in time. They call the GG.